Hello and welcome to Roasting the World. We offer an adversarial perspective on today's cultural issues. We do it for the intelligent culture. I'm your host, Mr. Robinson, Keenan, Capone, KJ, KP, all the names that you want to name, but that's the me. All right, today I have a very special guest, my big brother, MJ, Big Fish, Pescado G, all the names too. So, man, I finally got him on the show, on the podcast. It's dope. I love it. Man, tell them a little bit about yourself, and what you do, and your journey and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's very adventurous for sure. Don't know how intricate on the details we go there, but 42 years old. I was born in Texas, grew up in Nashville. Been in the IT interest since I was like third grade. Eventually was able to get into the field. Long journey of not knowing the routes to take. Never finished college, but here I am, married with 4 daughters, and I'm a senior network engineer.
All right, that's awesome. So, let me just start off with this. Now, you said you're in IT, right?
Correct.
So, science, technology, engineering, math, all of those are areas that are high dollar earning areas. But I see a lot of people not entering those areas.
Right.
What advice would you give a person if they're deciding on like what area to go into for passion? Because I remember you had your own business, U-Game, back in the day when we were like in our 20s. So
Which,
you were one of,
for y'all that don't know, is a cyber cafe. I had the first cyber cafe in Nashville.
Ultimate Gaming Cafe. My man was doing this thing at a young age, helped me become an entrepreneur just by watching his moves. So, what inspired you to go into that particular area, and how did that benefit you in moving forward and being able to take care of your family?
Yeah, so younger, like I said, when I was in third grade, I was exposed to computers in school and just realized that I just was really fascinated by it.
Right.
And then just knew I wanted to get into it. Didn't
Right.
know which part of it, but I knew
Something.
that was something that I
Right.
wanted to be a part
Right.
of. And then going further, getting a little bit older, realizing I'm very analytical on my thinking,
Right.
which falls in line great with tech because it is A, B, C,
Right.
0, 1, 0, 1. So
Right.
patterns and things like that. And just pursue it. And then once I had the business up and running, I was able to give myself maybe some few extra doors because I was able to solidify that I knew what I
Right.
was doing, even
Right.
though I didn't have the degrees
Right.
that
So-
people want to try to back you up on it.
So your expertise and your experience really gave you a foot in the door
Right.
versus having the education but not having the expertise.
Right.
So that's dope right there. A lot of people need to hear that.
Right.
So you said you're married, right, with 4 kids, girls, right?
Yeah, 4 daughters.
How is that being a father and having to balance that life and then having all girls? It's a lot of what's it called? Not testosterone,
Estrogen.
estrogen in the room. You know what I'm saying?
That's the question I think everybody asks themselves every day.
Right.
How do I balance this? How do
Right.
I balance this? You have your passion, you have your work, you've got your responsibilities. How do you balance it all?
Right.
And the only thing that I've really found successful for myself is you really have to put it pen to paper and schedule things.
Right.
Hold yourself accountable on paper so you can't run off of memory because, we get so sidetracked with so many
Yeah.
different things. So, have a calendar. Say, this time I'll do this time I'll do this.
Right.
And it doesn't have to be so structured where you're so confined, but
Right.
leave yourself some open room. This is free time for
Right,
you to
right,
do whatever,
right,
right?
right.
Or and then with the kids, hey, I get off of work at this time. This is our hour block to do whatever.
Right.
If there's any special time that you want with just us one-on-one, then let me know and, we'll schedule it. It doesn't sound fantastic, but it's very efficient in the
Right.
kids' expectations of knowing, when their time is and they look forward to
Right.
that time versus when you're on the phone or in the
Yeah.
bathroom or
Yeah,
something
yeah.
else, and,
Yeah.
trying to come at you. So, yeah.
Right. And then you said you're married. How long you been married?
It'll be 22 years in February.
22 years
Married.
in February. Married. Not when
Married.
y'all was together
Not
back in
together.
high school.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow, that's a long time, man.
Been together for 5 years before marriage. And
That's
then
20.
married.
That's almost 30 piece, man. Some people ain't even 30 years old. So I mean, how do you make that work, man? Like, what's the secret sauce? You know?
I've always been one who loves to go against the grain, right?
Okay.
So, being black in IT, you don't see a lot of us out there, right?
Right.
And if they are, you don't see them with braids, things like that. We would say that they've been kind of programmed a different direction. So I've always tried to be true to myself and break down those barriers and stereotypes that people see. Yeah, that's me with the system and the wheels
With
on
the
the car
bag.
coming in,
Right.
but that doesn't take away from what I've got up here.
Right.
And how it's being utilized. And I'm sorry, what was the question again?
I mean, that's a good lead into. I was asking about what makes the secret sauce for the marriage.
Yeah.
But that makes a secret sauce for life, being able to be yourself,
Right.
and your authentic self. To say, look, this is me. I can sit in any room and I belong there.
But I still deal with imposter syndrome.
Okay, tell us
all in
about
all.
that. You know.
So I mean, you're in there, you get put into these high positions, and you do look a certain way, and you do get looked at a certain way, and you've been looked at a certain way for a long time, especially as long as I've been in corporate America.
Right.
Where do I go with that?
I mean, the thing is, like, I'm a professional too.
Yeah.
So when I walk in rooms, sometimes people view me a certain way.
Right.
They have a certain perspective. They say, oh, when we talk about music, they want to say something about rap music or something, comes up. And then, like, because I'm in the educational field in my day job, in my career, they want to put me with certain types of individual kids
Right.
because I fit the program. Now, I've had other people say, well, you look like them.
Right.
You can speak their language. You can reach those people, and you can have an impact. But, if I'm not working in, let's say, a low socioeconomic area or predominantly, people of color area, and I'm working with other kids, I still have that same impact on kids in general because, I'm a kid that came from that type of background.
Right.
So I'm able to reach kids in general. But they want to say, you can reach this particular group.
Right.
So, in the IT field, I guess they look at you as a certain, demographic and say that you're going to do a certain thing. But they get pleasantly surprised when they find out that, we're multifaceted individuals that come from diverse background.
Right.
We have people, because, I've been around you for 20 plus years. We have people in our group in our family that are all different color, shapes, creeds, religions, and all that kind of stuff. And I think that really allows you to be able to have those conversations and feel empowered and comfortable talking to anybody. And I know, going back to the wife thing, your wife is not black or not white.
She's not black. She's not white. She marks Hispanic on her
right.
on her form. So how I've been married for so long. Yeah. Sorry.
So you bring it back.
We're full circle here. We'll bring it on back here.
Right.
So I met her at a club on teen night. Right.
On teen night.
She lived 30 miles away from me, which is probably the only reason it worked. Because if we went to the same high school, too many people be in our business, it would not work.
Right.
Started out, I just wanted to take her to prom and show her off. Like, hey, let me get your number, be friends. We talk. Like, yeah, I'm taking you to prom. She's like, okay, that's the craziest thing ever.
Right.
And so she knew about my girlfriends. I knew about her boyfriends, between time before prom. And then as it got closer, something happened where this jealousy started to come about from her. And I was like, okay, that's odd. And then, lo and behold, we start dating, and then...
so the jealousy is what got you. Because she was
yeah.
like, that's me right there.
Yeah, pulled me in. And then, once we got married at the age of 21, I purchased my first house at that same time, on my own, granted. And you just have to just realize that person that you married is not always going to be the same. She always changes, and you have to make a choice to choose to love them no matter what they're going through. You said for rich, poor, for good health, no health, for bad health, and just make that effort of like making that person happy.
Right.
You know, not always what they could do for you.
Right.
Like you got a daughter, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Shout out April Alani.
Shout out April. So Christmas, you don't. If she gives you nothing, that
Right.
you're absolutely fine. But you
Right.
love the joy of what you give her and
Right.
how
Yeah.
she receives those gifts. So
Yeah.
like when you learn to take that happiness from making that person happy, then it helps you to longevity versus what are you doing for me? What can you do for me? Now it can wear on you,
Right.
And I'm not gonna lie and say it can if you're not getting reciprocated on,
Right.
but definitely choosing to love that person and not faltering and understanding that there's seasons. There's seasons for all of us.
That reminds me like unconditional love.
Right.
You know, because love is patient, kind, slow to anger, quick to forgive, keeps no
Right.
record. You know, all of those things, that it says love is. And then I think about like we said, our kids. Like I love my kid like that. Regardless, like they could, do something. They could maybe spring on me or something. I don't know, and I'm still gonna love you. I'm gonna be mad. I'm gonna fight you or something, but I'm still gonna love you. Like
regardless, nothing you can do to make me not love you.
And I think that we miss that sometimes in our relationships, and then like when we have kids in our relationship, then we put the kids first.
That's wrong.
Right, and really the kids are there because of that. The kids are an outward manifestation of that inward emotion of love. You know what I'm saying?
And they need to know that because my kids have been told your dad comes first. When it's dinner time, my meal is prepared first.
Hey man, you stepping on some toes right now because there's some people out here that they don't feel like that, man. And
absolutely.
And it's a lot of people out here that don't know how to be married. They weren't trained to be husbands or weren't trained to be wives. They don't know how to. I think I heard somewhere that you have to, on purpose, kind of submit. Yeah. Like it makes it a choice.
Absolutely.
To do this because it's better. When you can say, hey, I'm leaving myself open for you. If you choose to mishandle me, then you're going to miss out on a blessing.
Right.
But if you choose to do the right things, then we can grow together and build something great. Now, and I understand you built something great. How is Texas anyway?
I love Texas.
You love Texas, man?
I was born in Texas.
Yeah.
I'm Longhorn. Hook 'em.
Right. Them Cowboys, I don't know. Them Titans all day, though. You know what I'm saying? So it's really really a big thing, and that kind of moves me to the kind of the religious aspect of just life in general. So I understand you were a youth pastor or something like that.
I have been a youth pastor.
And how did that tie into like you said, you come in, you got the braids, you got tattoos, you got the bang in the car, all that stuff. But you're an IT person, and I know even in religion, like when I go into a church, if I have on this, maybe not so much now, but especially coming up. You look at a certain way because you don't have on a certain tie and you're not speaking a certain way. But I always say, in the Bible, it say, come as you are. Come as you are. And don't judge me because I don't have, because I didn't come up having all the best clothes and all that kind of stuff. So I needed to get to the faith hospital, so to speak, which is the church. And there was a lot of hypocrisy and things of that nature in there. So I had to walk on my own spiritual journey.
Right.
So can you tell us a little bit about your, maybe reason why you became a youth minister or your spiritual journey and how that ties into just your life and your kids and wife and what makes you, creates you to be the man that you are?
Yeah, well, I'm very faith-based, very biblically guided.
Right.
Because if I'm holding myself accountable for anything, if I consider myself the God, then I make all the rules, and then I can never do wrong. Right.
Yeah.
But
that's problematic.
But I've got this guideline that's been put out there for you of how the household should be, how I should give up everything in myself to take care of the house and the wife. Right. Jesus sacrificed himself for the church. He gave everything, which is what it says the man should do as well. So that's something that we have an understanding on, and it also keeps me in check.
And you have to lead. Like, like when I'm eating dinner with my kids, even with my girlfriends or whatever, I have to, well, I don't have to, but I say, hey, let's pray for our food.
Right.
And I make sure I do that. I've had people tell me they thought it was fake. I'm doing it for a show and all this. And I'm like, dude, this is who I am. If there was nobody else in here, I'm going to pray for my food. If my kids were here, I'm going to pray for my food. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's just that small, thing, but that's something that lets the people around you and your kids know, hey, it's okay to pray. You don't have to be ashamed of that.
Right.
And it's something that will bless your food because if you know what I mean, it can
Right,
save your life.
That, and you're thankful for,
and you're grateful, and you're
Right.
grateful. So that's one thing
It's
that I
not
do.
always, please don't let me die.
Nah, right. So I just try to really be grateful, like you said, and and it's really a good thing to have that faith. That's why I started Nothing Without God Productions and all that kind of stuff. The new movie got you in it called The Frozen Hearts. And he's in there talking about relationship things like that, and just telling us some real advice about marriage and relationships and stuff. So look for that. Should be coming out maybe 2023, 2024. Shout out MJ gonna be in the building. But I just want to let you know, man, I'm proud of you. I'm glad you came on the show. We got way more living to do, Lord willing, and
Right.
more adventures to have. And when was the last time you been on a bike?
Today I got on my brother's bike, so one good thing about coming over here to
The
Tennessee,
family,
I got lots of people's bikes that I can still ride that they entrust me with. And
You want to do any shout outs, any say what's up to anybody while
I
you're
still want to finish your question.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry, go ahead.
So the youth, I'm still a big kid.
Right,
I
me
watch
too.
anime.
Right,
I play
right.
video games.
Right, me too.
So these are things that the kids are doing.
Yeah.
So I'm able to connect with them even more because I'm not outside of their realm.
And judging them because they do that.
Right.
Yeah, 'cause I think it's fun. We used to stay up
Absolutely.
all night playing the wrestling game.
Me winning the belt.
No,
and
I
holding on
wanted
to the belt.
You had to
being
watch
the
my
champ.
entrance music, but I had the belt. Yeah.
Yeah, lots of hours of gaming. But so with the kids, I'm just from some of the ministers that I've listened to, able to take some things that I felt was really well on how they spoke and how it resonated with me, and just try to put some of that out there so the kids are able to understand the Bible instead of just the thou, the theist, and then the Living Translation isn't always as great either. So let me give you like different scenarios,
Real life stuff.
Like for example, I'll just throw this out here. Fire is very useful, right? If it's cold, you got a fireplace, you make a fire, right? If you got a gas stove and you're cooking, fire, it's controlled, right?
Right.
It's where it's supposed to be.
Right.
Now, if fire gets out of hand, you can lose a lot and cause a lot of damage. Just like, if I can say this, sex, controlled where it should be.
Right.
It's beautiful, it's great, and it's the way, God had planned
Can
it.
create life.
Right. And you don't have to worry about all the extra children or the diseases and things like that because it's a fire.
Right.
It's a passion that's burning, But if it gets out of control,
This can be problematic.
Destructive. So that's some type of stuff
life.
like that I would use to
That's
try
a good
to
analogy.
help the kids to understand.
Because I worked in high schools and middle schools, and I've had kids ask me how to pray and about God and stuff. It's kind of looked frowned upon a little bit, but I had to kind of go outside of the rules and try to save souls. And when you talk to them, you can't say thou art in Psalms, and what I'm saying. You got to say, look, man, this is what it is. Everybody is that God talks to or reaches or uses is not perfect.
Right. Absolutely.
And you got to tell them some real life things that connect with them because they don't know about. You might be the only Bible that they see.
Absolutely.
So I definitely try to make sure that I try to walk the walk, and I'm not perfect. I still make mistakes, and I'm faulty in a lot of ways. But I try to be an example for the kids and for my kids also, because I don't want to just be an example for the outside, and then my home be in turmoil and not be able to get along with my own children.
Right.
So I try to make sure that that's a certain way, and I don't do certain things around my kids, and then I do certain things on purpose so that they can see, like, hey, this is what it's supposed to look like, because I may be the only example. I am the only example for my kids.
Right.
Like they need to see their dad loving a woman properly. They need to see me protecting them. They need to see me getting up every day, taking my butt to work. You know what I'm saying? Working hard to provide for them. They need to see me like, you know what? You need something? Let's go get it.
What can I complain about later on?
Right.
I saw you do this.
Right.
So I learned that from my parents. I saw how hard they work, and I can complain. I'm like, but you know what? I saw them get up and go do it and
sacrifice themselves, for us.
Yeah.
And then that leads us to the next generation. and they'll know this is how you do it. Because
Right.
a lot of times, like, you don't have a blueprint on how to live life.
And
You know?
a lot of us still don't. Like I said, in
Right.
IT, I didn't have any guidance. I didn't know how to get there. I just knew that was something I was interested in.
Right.
And I did try college, and I was like, this has nothing to do with
what
what
you're
I've
trying to
been
do.
learning.
Yeah.
I've been learning more than that on the outside. And,
Right.
it was a long struggle, but, I do mentor adults, teens, and things like that when they're ready for certain fields. Okay, let's help you learn the research. Do you know what the salary is for that?
Right.
Is that an okay salary for you to live off of?
Right.
Do you know anybody in that field?
Right.
Talk to them.
Right.
Try to
Mentorship.
mentor.
Yeah.
See if that's really what you want
Right.
instead of being that person who goes to school and becomes a professional student
Right.
because they can't decide what they
Right.
want to be in because they
Right.
didn't know what they were really getting into.
Right, like me. Until I mean, because I went to school economics and finance, and
Absolutely.
banker and all that kind of
Right,
stuff.
right.
And then once the McGrasses and my Aunt Valerie and all that, they were educators, and they were like, go into education. And I started off as a paraprofessional, like changing diapers and everything. And I found like I like working with kids. They're fun.
Right,
Like
right.
they're better than adults.
Right,
Right.
right.
Adults kind of got attitudes, but kids you can give them some candy. Hey man, look, chill out. Go over there and sit down somewhere. You want to play basketball? And they'll chill out. So.
I mean, the growth that you see in
Yeah.
the children,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's their gratification.
Yeah,
that
that's
you,
gratification.
You were a part of that process
Yep.
of watching them grow. That's why
Yep.
I definitely don't mind sharing the things that I've learned, so people don't have to go through the struggles.
Yeah.
Like I don't want you to struggle unnecessarily.
Yeah.
Right.
right. And some people got to learn the hard way.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
But for the most part, people try to listen. So to end our segments, we have what's called Roast or Toast.
All right.
Roast or Toast, basically we take the topic and you either roast it, means we don't need to talk about it, throw it in the fire, it's gone, let it consume. You know what I'm saying? But toast it means it's something that our community, our people really need to continue to educate ourselves on and be more robust in the conversation. So the topic that I would say is just family and just being your authentic self. And, talk to the camera and tell, our guests, our viewers, why you should be your authentic self and why family and spirituality is important to you.
Man, that is vast.
Yeah.
And I don't know how well I'm going to do on this. So if I get roasted or toasted, we'll see what happens. But, a liar can only lie for so long before the lie catches up to him.
Right.
So you can try to be someone else for as long as you want, but you're going to do nothing but wear on yourself. Like I was talking about the imposter syndrome earlier. If you're not yourself and you're trying to be this other person, it mentally wears on you. And then you can really become lost on who you truly are, which is, I think, is what's happening with a lot of people nowadays on their mental breakdowns is they have these expectations for themselves, but they're only doing this, but they know they should be doing this.
Right.
And
They're
they're
fighting
just
themselves.
fighting themselves internally. Yeah. So, like in the corporate, I'm a black guy with braids in IT. For so long, I've had to show that I'm smart, but not too smart because I don't want this person doesn't want to feel insignificant to me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you gotta. I water yourself down sometimes.
right.
Even if you're the smartest person in the room, sometimes you know how to be quiet.
Right. So, be your authentic self, learn to listen, and don't put anyone else down. Sometimes you got to put yourself in other people's shoes and break your wall down so that you can continue to be yourself and thrive. And people really come to accept you or they don't. There's always going to be those who are going to talk about you, and there's always going to be those who adore you.
Right.
So, no matter what you do,
Right.
so be yourself so that you don't have those internal turmoils.
Absolutely. Well, I really, really want to say I really appreciate you
I
being
appreciate
here,
you
man.
having me
I
on.
love it, man.
I
Like,
love that you got the podcast. And
Yeah,
the movies
man.
going on.
Come on, yeah.
I bought all your movies, so
Appreciate it, man.
I
Yes.
really love
We on
it.
Tubi, Amazon, Hulu, Fandango, you name it. We're trying to get on Netflix. We're trying to have our own streaming services. We want to put everybody that's been around us for all these years on the camera so that all of us can be famous. That's how they do it. They put the whole family on.
Absolutely.
So, until next time, stay ready so you don't got to get ready. And stay tuned for another exciting episode of Roasting the world. Pescado G in the building.
Yes.
You want to shout out anybody before we go?
Peace out, all y'all.
Peace.